Do you believe in second chances? I mean the real kind. The kind that don't just forgive a mistake, but completely rewrite a person. The kind that force you to look at the very worst chapter of your life and ask a terrifying question. What if it was just the beginning of a different story? My story starts with a name that used to send a cold shiver down my spine. Alex Vance. My name is Lily Croft, and for the last 10 years, I'd built a life I was proud of. I was a graphic designer. I had a cozy apartment with a cat that judged me silently, and I'd mostly forgotten the awkward, braces-clad girl I was in high school. Mostly. But Alex Vance, he was the king of the hallways. Charming, athletic, with a smile that could disarm anyone. And for reasons I never understood, he decided I was his favorite target. It wasn't just the classic shoves into lockers. It was the subtle, cruel things. A whispered comment about my thrift store clothes just loud enough for everyone to hear. A laugh that would die when I walked into a room. He made me feel invisible and hypervisible all at once. He was the architect of my deepest insecurities. I had successfully avoided any thought of him for a decade, until my best friend, Chloe, dragged me to a high-profile charity gala. Network, she said. Meet someone, she said. I should have known better, because across a sea of sequins and black-tie suits, my eyes locked with a pair I'd never forgotten, and he was already walking towards me. My heart didn't just pound, it tried to escape my chest. Every instinct screamed run, but my feet were rooted to the marble floor. He stopped in front of me, and the years fell away, yet everything was different. The boyish smirk was gone, replaced by a sober, searching look. The jock swagger had matured into a quiet, confident stillness. Lily Croft, he said, and his voice was deeper, but hearing my name in his mouth felt like a violation. I wasn't sure it was you. Alex, I managed my voice tight. I braced for a joke, a condescending remark. Instead, he did something that completely disarmed me. He looked down, a flicker of what looked like genuine shame crossing his face. I know I'm probably the last person you want to talk to, he said, his voice low. But would you let me buy you a drink? Just one. There's something I need to say. What followed was the most surreal 30 minutes of my life. He didn't make excuses. He looked me in the eye and said, I was a cruel, stupid kid, and I am deeply, truly sorry for the pain I caused you. He named specific incidents I thought only I remembered. He wasn't just giving a blanket apology. He was performing surgery on our past, and it was utterly disorienting. This wasn't the Alex Vance I knew. This man was thoughtful, contrite, and when he asked if he could see me again, to prove he'd changed a tiny, reckless part of me, the part that had always wondered, why me? Whispered, why not? We started with coffee. Then dinner. Each meeting was a careful dance. I was waiting for the mask to slip. It never did. He was patient, kind, and he listened in a way that made me feel like I was the only person in the world. He'd become a successful architect, building structures meant to last, while I was still deconstructing the ones he'd torn down in my heart. I learned about his life, a demanding father, a home where perfection was the only currency. It wasn't an excuse, but it was a context I'd never had. The bully began to fade, replaced by this complex, fascinating man who looked at me as if I'd hung the moon. The turning point was a rainy Tuesday. We were in my apartment, and I found an old, water-damaged sketchbook from high school. I'd hidden my drawings from everyone back then. He gently took it, and as he flipped through the pages of angsty, teenage art, his eyes filled with a profound sadness. I remember this, he whispered. I saw you drawing once. I was going to say I liked it, but I made a stupid joke instead. I was so afraid of showing anyone that I cared about anything. In that moment, the last wall around my heart crumbled. When he proposed a year later, under a blanket of stars on a quiet beach, I said yes without a single doubt. I was marrying the man Alex had become, and I had successfully buried the boy he was. Or so I thought. The wedding was a small, beautiful affair. But on our honeymoon, the past flickered back to life. We were in a cozy mountain cabin, and I found a small, locked wooden box at the back of his closet. It was old, the kind you'd have as a kid. Jokingly, I held it up. "What's in here?" "Your secret villain origin story." The smile vanished from his face. It was instantaneous. His whole body went rigid. He walked over and took the box from my hands, his fingers brushing mine a little too quickly. "It's nothing," he said, his voice suddenly flat. "Just old junk from my dad's house. I should throw it out." He placed it on a high shelf, and the easy, joyful atmosphere of the room was gone. The Alex from the gala, the one full of secrets and shadows, was back. A week after we returned home, I was working on my laptop when a notification popped up. It was a Facebook memory, a photo from 10 years ago, a group of students at a school dance. And there, in the corner, was a young Alex Vance, his arm wrapped not around one of the popular girls, but around a shy, red-haired girl named Sarah Milligan. I remembered her. She transferred schools suddenly our junior year. No one ever knew why. And the look on Alex's face in that photo wasn't one of mockery or cruelty. It was possessive. It was intense. It was a look I'd never seen on him before. The box and the photo became twin splinters in my mind. I tried to ignore them, to focus on the wonderful man I'd married. He was still that man, attentive, loving, a partner in every way. But the ghost of the boy he was had started whispering again. The breaking point came when I was cleaning out the garage. I moved a stack of old boxes, and the small, locked wooden box from the honeymoon tumbled out from behind them. It must have fallen when he was hiding it, and the impact had broken the cheap, old lock. The lid was slightly ajar. My hands trembled. This was a violation of his privacy. This was the line I'd promised myself I wouldn't cross. But the whisper was now a scream. I took a deep breath, my heart hammering against my ribs, and I lifted the lid. I don't know what I expected. Love letters from other women? Evidence of a crime? What I found was both simpler and so much worse. It was a pile of folded notes, a cheap plastic bracelet, and a single, faded photograph. The notes were my handwriting. They were the desperate, heartfelt letters I had written to my grandmother, pouring out my loneliness and pain, letters that had never made it to the mailbox. They'd gone missing from my locker. He'd stolen them. He'd been reading my most private thoughts. And the photograph was of me, asleep in the library, head on my books. He hadn't just been my bully. He had been obsessed with me. The realization didn't feel like anger. It felt like ice water in my veins. I was still sitting there, frozen, holding the evidence of his twisted past, when I heard his key turn in the front door. "Lily, I'm home," he called out, his voice cheerful. I didn't move. I couldn't. He walked into the garage, his smile fading as he saw me on the floor, the open box in my lap, the stolen letters in my hand. The color drained from his face. He looked defeated, not angry, just profoundly tired. "Lily," he began, his voice cracking. "What?" The word was a ragged whisper. "You read these? You took pictures of me? Was any of it real? Or was marrying me just the final act of your power trip?" He sank to his knees in front of me, his eyes pleading. "It was the most real thing that has ever happened to me," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Lily, I was a messed up kid. I didn't know how to deal with anything. I noticed you because you were the only real person in that entire fake school. You were bright and quiet, and you saw everything. And it terrified me. So I pushed you away. The harder I pushed, the more I needed to know you. It was sick and wrong, and I have lived with the shame of it every single day since." He reached in the box and picked up the plastic bracelet. "This is from the hospital," he said quietly. "The week after you stopped coming to school for a while. I was so scared I'd broken you. I thought I'd lost you forever. That's when I knew I had to change. Not for you, but because the person I had become was a monster. Everything I've done since that day, every good thing, has been to become a man worthy of a second chance. A man worthy of you." He was crying now, silent tears tracing paths down his face. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I should have told you everything before I ever asked you to marry me. But I was a coward. I was so afraid of losing you again. I looked at the man kneeling before me. My husband, raw and broken open, finally showing me the last, ugly truth. The bully and the man were the same person. A person who had done terrible things, and a person who had spent years fighting to become better. I didn't forgive him that day. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a road you walk, one painful, deliberate step at a time. We started therapy both separately and together. We talked for hours, unraveling a decade of pain and shame. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. But here's the truth about rewriting your story. You don't get to erase the old chapters. You have to accept that they are part of the book. Alex will always be the boy who hurt me, and he will always be the man who loved me enough to tear himself apart and rebuild. Now, when I come home, he's there. Not the ghost of a bully, but my husband. Sometimes I'll catch him looking at me, and there's no possession in his eyes, only a profound, grateful love. We are building a new structure, not on a foundation of forgotten pain, but on the repaired, stronger ground of hard-won truth. I marry my childhood bully, and in doing so, I didn't just give him a second chance. I gave us both the chance to finally be free.